Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live on the Christmas Day edition of the program. We are here with you, and we will take your calls and your thoughts if you want to join us. Our number is 603-283-6160. Got to give you the area code there. 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight with you, you've got Ian.
Nobody.
And Chris.
And the three of us actually just got back from our little Christmas Day, event, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I don't know how many people there would actually celebrate Christmas, but it is Christmas Day, and we had a thing. So
yeah,
let's call it Satan Claus's feast
because we were at Aria's house.
Yes, we were at we went for Christmas dinner with the Satanists.
It's true. We
I don't think a single one of I don't think there's a single person there that celebrated religious or Christmas.
I think Kurt's a Christian.
Is he?
Kurt has been a Christian.
Yeah,
I don't
he wasn't
know.
Okay, so maybe I'm wrong then.
He was a lot more Christian-y when he was with Auburn, who is
previous wife.
Indeed. And she was rather she got more Christian-y after they split up, and he got less Christian-y.
I see. Yeah, he does. He strikes me more as like a spiritual kind of guy these days. But anyway, so that's what we did today. We had our activist holiday dinner thing. We got some Indian food from the local Indian place that actually opened up just for us, which was awfully nice.
Yeah.
And so we hung out and talked about programming.
It was pretty funny.
Mostly, yeah. God.
Yeah. Yeah, there was two things. There was Linux and the Android stuff that you're working on there, Rich.
Man. I have been locked in a battle with a demon.
So
System D.
Other people would say they are locked in a battle with a demon known as nicotine, and they want the government to somehow protect them from themselves.
Well, they need to chill out and start vaping. That's the only thing that helped me, It's like, am I still addicted to nicotine? Sure. Difference is, before I was addicted to nicotine with a persistent hacking cough that had gone on for 18 months, which is sounds very much like early lung disease. And since I started vaping instead of smoking, I still smoke once in a while, but when I started mostly vaping, strong like bull.
Really? And now how long did it take for you to notice a difference?
The cough stopped being persistent after a month, maybe, of vaping.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't take. It's like steam cleaning your lungs, man.
He definitely doesn't seem to cough as much as he used to.
No, I noticed it as well.
Yeah,
that it went away.
Certainly desirable.
I only cough when I get to COVID now.
Now
God knows that doesn't happen often.
You've also cut back on smoking pot as well, so you're not doing as much smoking overall in general.
Well,
right?
That's true, but interestingly enough, I was still smoking pot heavily when the cough went away.
Oh, interesting. So it was a cigarette specific.
Yeah, it was
cough.
a cigarette specifically. Mm-hmm. The thing is, weed will break stuff on the way in and fix it on the way out. It's like an irresponsible but lovable neighbor. But yeah, cigarette smoke just breaks stuff, and then it hangs out and breaks more stuff. Mm-hmm. Until you eventually have to throw it out. That's what the coughing is. It's you're throwing your bad guest out of the party.
So the reason I bring that up is because, Chris, you and I both happen to bring in, I presume, the same story. Mine's from Reason.com, and it is about cigarettes, e-cigarettes specifically, and so-called protecting children from them, which...
Well, if those children are smoking cigarettes, they'd be a lot better off smoking e-cigs.
Yeah. I think it's an important point to make.
It seems such a futile thing. I mean, that's why they call it an addiction, right? I mean, you have to do it regardless of whether or not the law says it's allowed or not. And so you're going to do it, and you're going to find a way to do it, and regardless.
And it's more than that, because the addiction precedes the drug. The disease precedes the symptom. And the thing is, people who get addicted to things are people who are already broken. They're not bonded to anything the way that in a way that's meeting their needs. And so what happens is they end up bonding with a substance instead of bonding with, whatever is going to actually meet their spiritual or relationship needs. But so if you take away one potential thing to get addicted to, well, they'll never even notice. They'll just go get addicted to something else because they're looking for something to fill that hole. And taking away one potential filler doesn't make the hole go away.
Yeah,
you're
not
just going
to
look for something else. If you take away the weed, they'll drink alcohol. If you take away the alcohol, they'll shoot heroin.
They'll sniff glue if they have to.
Yeah.
They picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue.
Yeah, airplane.
But if you want to stop sniffing glue and you happen to be in the New Hampshire area, drop by the Church of the Invisible Hand.
So, according to the Reason.com story here published 2 days ago, buried in the enormous spending COVID-19 relief package, so-called, that Congress approved this week, which didn't Trump veto it?
Are they giving us some relief from Congress?
Didn't Trump veto this? I thought I heard that he was vetoing this.
I don't know.
I hope he does.
Supposedly he was vetoing this based on that it did not pay the American people enough of a subsidy. He wanted them to have $2,000 instead of a $600 check.
He seems a lot better at being president since he stopped. I mean, since he lost
since he's on the way out,
election.
since he's a lame duck, you
right?
mean?
Yeah, it's like now he's starting to do the things he should have done in the first place. Do you have any idea? I'll tell you what would have gotten me to vote for Trump is if he'd pulled the troops out of the rest of the world and vetoed that nonsense spending bill. The
problem, I think there's a little bit of a problem with this logic, and that's that he actually is demanding more money as the reason that he's rejecting it. So he wants to increase it from 600 to 1,000 or 2,000 or something.
I mean, personally, at this point, all they're doing is stretching the dollar out of shape. So let them print. Print.
Whatever.
I say print all the money you can. Print all day and print all night. I'll just sit here watching my Bitcoin grow. I ain't proud. You just keep on printing. Mr. Federal Reserve, hand it out to all your friends.
But
I'm not going to take it for anything.
Doesn't this depend on how they resolve the issue? Either they let inflation occur or they tax us to death, right? And if they tax us to death, you're going to need.
They have to inflate. They
couldn't jack taxes enough.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the only way they can do it.
So a combination of inflation and taxation.
And the more they inflate, the better it is for us because we are the unintended consequences of inflation.
Yeah, the crypto does go up as a result, probably.
But he's not holding any crypto.
What's the matter with you?
Wait, when did I never said
I thought you said you spend it all.
Oh, no.
You are holding some. That's good.
Well, it's probably best I not actually talk about this on the air.
Yeah, that's fine. Fair enough. So if you want to join us
he's
here,
holding a lot.
603.
No, I didn't say that. don't get the wrong impression.
You always told me that you just get it in and spend it right away, but
No.
whatever.
I spend it as I get it in, and I spend it, but I spend it as I have a reason to spend it. So
sure.
That will be some amount of crypto.
You never really struck me as somebody who makes an effort to save it.
I'm not investing in it, so I don't go and buy it for the sake of holding it. But that doesn't necessarily mean I don't benefit from possessing it and taking it and everything else.
I gotcha. So 603-283-6160 is our phone number here if you want to talk about what apparently is going to be new restrictions on all vaping equipment, including parts, supplies, and a ban on even sending them through the mail.
Oh, good Lord.
So, not sure how you're going to get them if they can't send them through the mail.
Well, you're going to get them on the dark web if all else fails.
Through the mail.
That much is true. So again, 603-283-6160. We're here on Christmas Day. You can join us, and you can bring up also whatever happens to be on your mind. This is Free Talk Live.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Bain Books at BainBooks.com.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. D-I-V-I Project.org.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Yeah!
It's Free Talk Live. Christmas Day episode here. You can bring up anything that you want. And you do that toll-free at... I'm sorry, not toll-free anymore. 603-283-6160. I did pretty good yesterday. I didn't mention the old number at all yesterday. Didn't mention it right there. Almost did.
Did we get rid of the toll-free?
It's gone.
Oh, really?
It's gone. 603-283-6160. There's also been some other technical changes behind the scenes that I think is going to...
Kind of makes sense. Most people have nationwide calling on their cell phones now, so why pay for an 800 number?
When's the last time that anybody paid
it's more
for
memorable,
paid a toll?
probably, is the only reason why I might do it.
Yeah, 603-283-6160. There's other reasons as well. We're doing some major technical changes behind the scenes here on Free Talk Live that should make things sound a little bit better. We're sourcing all the phone calls based out of our own studio now, whereas before that was done at a network location. So
are you using Asterisk for that?
Not at this time. Not at this time, but that could be done in the future. We actually have used Asterisk here in the past. For those that don't know, that is an open source telephony system, basically, for Linux. Yeah, you can sort of do voice over IP and emulations and things like that.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
See, I don't know what you can do a lot of things with it. Michael is, I guess, like a Jedi with that stuff.
Yeah, we actually used to have
so much.
Asterisk PBX here in the studio, but the machine broke down a couple of years back, and we just never bothered to fix it. But we might do that shortly. Yeah. So yeah, we're doing.
I bet you could do the whole thing through the Matrix these days.
Ooh, Matrix calls are pretty crappy, unfortunately. We did start out by talking about the Matrix as an option for people to call in, and even in our testing of it, it was like only working like a third of the time.
Oh, really?
Some people they can't, for whatever reason, the calls just don't connect at all with the Element client.
It's adding too much complexity to the mix because the Matrix is a little bit. I mean, it's a little bit shaky in and of itself. Mm-hmm. And when you add its shake to the shake of the thing you're trying to integrate with it, they'll shake each other apart.
Yeah.
That's why I suggested just having a web server that people could connect to and just make a direct Jitsi call to you.
That's actually what Element does. So you can you can actually run Jitsi over the Element client. So it's a kludgy kind of workaround.
It's a little bit kludgy. Yeah. I think it'll work better if you just go with a pure Jitsi connection.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We're working
on
something
setting it up.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about that. We're working on something in the background that hopefully will roll out sometime in the new year. But for right now, you can call in at 603-283-6160. So we've been talking about, or just barely touching on this new spending package that Congress approved this week. Now, again, I thought I heard that Trump vetoed this, or maybe he was just threatening to veto it.
He did
say he was going to.
Bill recently. It may have been that one. I don't know. I know they were upset.
Are you sure this is the same bill?
Apparently, he vetoed the defense. That's what we're finding out. Apparently, he vetoed the defense bill.
Right.
Good.
The defense spending bill.
And he threatened to veto this one, the one we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Good. He should.
Yeah. So I don't know if that means he actually has, but anyway.
I hope he will.
There's all kinds of stuff. They just threw in everything but the kitchen sink into this new spending package. Apparently, I heard somebody say that this is the largest bill that has ever been passed, which I found hard to believe. I thought, come on.
Trump has already signed the biggest budget in U.S. history every year he's been in office.
I mean, it doesn't. I don't know. That really surprises me. They like to keep making legislation bigger. The pieces of legislation they pass bigger and bigger, especially with the spending bills, because they're always tacking something on. And now it's not just one thing they're tacking on. They're tacking on everything that they can possibly get in there because they know it's going to pass.
And they get to blame it all on Trump on his way out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right.
Which is maybe one of the reasons why he's not voting in favor of it. But
hopefully, I think he's just petulant, but
I think it's more of a competition thing that's going on here than anything else.
But hopefully he will think about what's my legacy going to be, and think about maybe pardoning every drug war victim in history.
Happen.
I don't have all that much hope for it.
I wish that would happen. I don't. I would be shocked if he even pardons Ross Ulbricht or Edward Snowden
I would
or
be
Julian Assange.
surprised if he does it. But hey, let's aim big. Let's let him know what he should do.
Well, yeah,
he probably won't do it. He doesn't do what he should do very often. But
no, I heard that he pardoned some war criminals from the Bush administration this week.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
So he did pardon
the people who he should be pardoning, he won't, and the people who he does pardon.
He's pardoning political
probably shouldn't
people.
have been pardoned. Yeah,
I think you're right about that.
Yeah, well, I think the only reason he hadn't pardoned them so far, I think they did an extra 3 years because of politics. I think he would have pardoned them immediately.
We talking about the war criminals?
Yeah. because basically it was. Yes, it was absolutely a war crime. It was.
What did they do?
Terrible,
I don't even know who these people are. Just heard a thing. I don't know what.
They killed a couple of people that the government had decided were innocent, and they apparently.
Was this in the Middle East?
This was in the Middle East.
Okay.
This was in Iraq. And they were basically people, they considered them enemy combatants, and the government didn't. And they killed them.
So they convicted them.
So they were convicted, which is the first sign that, it's the really nasty ones are the ones that are never even brought to court or certainly convicted. It's like, it's like the killer cops. The only one who gets convicted is the one who bursts into tears on the stand. And that was a Texas chick who shot her neighbor.
In this case, Hasswagon is in our chat room on Twitch. He or she says that Congress had an anti-veto majority on this. So ultimately, his veto is nothing more than symbolic because they can override it.
That's not always the case. I mean, the thing is veto is going to bring a lot of attention to it. Mm-hmm. And so there may be a lot of people who end up saying, if they start hearing about specifically the horrible stuff that's undoubtedly in the bill
that they haven't read,
there may be people who say, oh, I didn't know that was in there. I'm going to have to withdraw my support.
That could be.
So sometimes it happens. And of course, it's a lie. They always knew it was in there.
Well, how could they? It was 5,000 pages.
But the really bad stuff is the stuff they're making the money off. Mm-hmm. So they know about that.
Which of the bills are we talking about that's veto proof? Are we talking about
I presume both of them, because
both of them?
One of them is a defense spending bill, and that almost always gets passed.
I'm pretty sure that was probably going to be veto proof. What about the other one?
And the other one's this this COVID thing.
Who is saying this one's veto proof?
It's not clear.
Nobody is. We're just speculating.
Well, somebody in the chat room said Congress had an anti-veto majority, but
the Twitter user said that.
This is Twitch. They don't say what it is, though.
Okay.
They don't know. I didn't ask them specifically which bill they were talking about. I suspect it's both of them, because they got people on the side of passing. These COVID relief bills have been passed fairly overwhelmingly as well, because it's a huge money handout to the politically connected. So like you said, everybody just throws in whatever they can throw into it, and they get it passed. So
everybody wants to pass it because everybody has their own little bit of graft in there. Right.
And so part of what they've got in this thing apparently is new restrictions on vaping equipment, which we can talk about coming up here. You can also join us at 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. This here is Free Talk Live, the Christmas Day edition of the show.
So when we brought him home, we didn't realize that Bear, the rescue dog, was actually sick. He had very flaky skin. He was dropping a lot of fur, and Levette wanted to do steroid injections, special dog food. Nothing seemed to work, so I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
I've been hearing Dinovite on the radio for years. It never actually crossed my mind to try it until it finally sunk in. Oh, you're talking about hair and skin. And, all right, I'll try it. Well, it took probably 6 weeks, but after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin. He doesn't scratch and itch, and he started to put weight on.
Dinovite is nutrition.
I wish that we would have started the Dinovite right away. It would have been so much easier.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want. Our number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And Ian, Nobody, and Chris in the studio tonight. Bitcoin.com. Great place to go and learn about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin, of course, is doing amazingly well right now. Today, it's at about $24,607 as we speak.
Wow, it's going up even since I looked at it last.
Yeah, I think... Oops, sorry about that. Try that again. Sorry, Nobody, I didn't unmute you yet. Now we can hear you if you want to say that again. Sorry.
So keep printing those dollars, government. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, Bitcoin's been doing great, so you definitely want to take the time to learn about it. Go to bitcoin.com and click Get Started at the top of the page there. That'll take you to some basics, some videos that you can watch. There's one that's 2 or 3 minutes long to give you the basic intro. And if you want to dig deeper, you certainly can. There's some resources there over at bitcoin.com. If you're not so new to Bitcoin, you want to get the latest headlines, get on over to bitcoin.com. They got a news site at news.bitcoin.com. You'll find all kinds of information there, updated on a daily basis. So we're talking about this new spending bill that apparently Trump has yet to actually veto this, but has suggested that he might. The thing he did veto was the defense appropriations bill. And again, you know, most of these things are likely going to be overturned by Congress, but regardless, we tell you about this because, well, there's a bunch of stuff that's been loaded into this spending package with the so-called COVID relief. It's 5,593 pages. It is Title 6 of the 2021 Consolidated Appropriations Act, which appears on page 5,136 of the bill. Is called the Preventing Online Sales of E-Cigarettes to Children Act. The bill was introduced last April by Dianne Feinstein, who's a Democrat from California.
Scumbag.
Joined by 7 co-sponsors, 6 Democrats plus a Republican Senator John Cornyn from Texas. It includes 2 changes aimed at complicating and obstructing online sales of vapes and e-liquid. Feinstein's bill amends the Jenkins Act of 1949, which requires that vendors who sell cigarettes to customers in other states register with the tax administrators in those states and notify them of all such sales so they can collect sales taxes that the buyers are officially obligated to pay.
Clearly, they're very concerned about protecting or stealing money, actually.
Yeah.
They don't
How's that protect children?
give a damn about any children, do they?
I find it kind of humorous, these lots of these pieces of legislation, because ultimately they can ship from outside the United States. The United States does not inspect enough of the packages for it to matter.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't. It kind of becomes a mute. It's kind of irrelevant.
Wait, what you're saying is you could buy a vape from a foreign shipper and then not pay any taxes on it, basically?
Yeah,
you could buy 3 pounds of crystal meth from the dark web,
exactly.
too.
Yep.
Nobody would notice.
They're not. There's I think 1%, if I recall, something like that. Not even 1% of goods that pass through the border. Like, some countries are super paranoid and they tax everything and look at every single transaction that comes through. That's not the case in the United States. It's 1%. So most goods just sail right by. It doesn't matter if they're violating different laws. They just sail right by and not a problem. It's the rare occasion that you'll find something that gets seized or whatnot. So, when you're sending one item at a time, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if 1% of your goods gets, seized, because ultimately at the end of the day, you're making profit. So.
See, they don't want to seize enough to discourage the activity, because their power comes from the existence of people breaking the law. They wouldn't have any power if people didn't break the law.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Well, actually, Ayn Rand writes about it in Atlas Shrugged. She wrote, "We don't write these laws to be obeyed, Mr. Reardon." This is speaking in the voice of a government official. "We don't write these laws to be obeyed, Mr. Reardon. We write them to be broken. So, no government can rule free men. All you can do is crack down on criminals. So if your society doesn't produce enough criminals, you've got to produce more. You make everything you can do a criminal act until you can't turn around without breaking the law, and then you cash in on the fear."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. For sure.
So basically, they don't want you to stop breaking the law. They just want to milk you a little bit each time you do it. And then the best thing for them is if they can get people on Suboxone or what's the other one?
Methadone?
Methadone. Yeah, methadone and Suboxone. Those are both more difficult withdrawals than heroin. So they're getting you more hooked.
That's one aspect
on
of it, for
opiates. Sure. But all of a sudden, they don't want to put you in prison anymore. Well, why not? Because you're buying from their drug cartel instead of buying from the competition. They are the muscle that protects big pharma from competition. That's the whole reason for the drug war. That's the real deal.
Yeah, well, in this case, a lot of the regulations, all they do is ultimately negatively impact local businesses to the United States. They're not necessarily negatively impacting.
That sounds like what they're doing here.
Yeah, exactly.
And the whole COVID thing, that's what it's all about, is you hurt the people who aren't politically connected so you can help the people who are.
Right. So if what this bill, if it presumably it's going to pass, they may override the veto, but if this goes into place, this so-called, what do they call it? Preventing Online Sales of E-Cigarettes to Children Act, what it sounds like they're doing is they're just going to make it more burdensome to sell things to people online if you're selling vapes online, in that if you're an online vape dealer and somebody from another state buys and they want you to ship it to their state, now they're saying that you have to be registered with the tax administrator in that state and then notify the state of the sale so they can collect taxes. Well, that's going to be easy to do if it's like Philip Morris, or if it's R.J. Reynolds, one of these big mega corporations. They can just hire the lawyers and the programmers to make sure they've got the compliance system in place to do all the billing and all the taxing and all that. But your average mom and pop store, They don't have that infrastructure.
You're right. This is about shutting down the small competitors within the United States to the big corporations.
Right.
And ultimately, if you're not a big corporation in the United States or you're outside the United States, you're benefiting from this legislation.
Yeah, and really it's almost like left and right can come together on this issue now, because basically our bugaboo has always been government. And their boogaboo's always been the corporations. Well, the government and the corporations are merging into one thing. What is that thing? It's the corporate state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what Mussolini called it. Well, and Italian fascism, which was an unholy alliance between big labor, big business, and big government, is being realized here with some very frightening effects. But these are not new ideas. This is how Mussolini made the trains run on time. He just had you shot if you were late.
Yeah, I mean, the free market, they sold us on free market capitalism, basically, and that's not what we have.
But that's not what they're delivering.
Right.
They're delivering some sort of corporate socialism.
They do. That's exactly what it is. It's socialism. It's socialism for a select few, and you're basically redistributing the wealth of the majority to the wealth of a minority under the guise of protecting children.
Yeah, and so I think if when ANCAPs are able to easily
narco-capitalist.
Narco-capitalists or voluntarists are able to easily acknowledge the corporate roles, and when people who are more left-oriented are able to easily acknowledge that none of this can take place without the government's license to kill, because that's the secret sauce that makes it all work, is that they can kill you if you get in their way.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think that is when the people are going to come together and really start tearing this system down. Because, 100 years ago, Henry Ford said, if the people knew how the banking system works, that we would have riots in the streets by Monday. Well, are we ready to figure it out yet?
Good question. 603-283-6160. If you want to answer, you're welcome to join us here on this Christmas Day edition of Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for Forkfest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Christmas Day. We're here. We'll take your calls. 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160, talking about the new proposal to supposedly protect children from e-cigarettes by taxing them.
Yeah, I got jumped by some e-cigarettes on my way home from school.
How does taxing cigarettes prevent children from buying them? It just seems...
I have no idea.
It just blows my mind. Like,
we'll get into that, though.
I guess maybe it's just poor children.
Because
their children are
okay, so you got to protect the poor children, but not the rich children.
Right.
The rich children can hire lawyers. So
yeah.
So Ian, Nobody, and Chris in the studio. It is Christmas Day. We're going to continue with your calls and thoughts. Also, want to say thank you to Barefoot Anarchist, who is a Free Talk Live Gold amplifier. Barefoot Anarchist is contributing $10 a month, which is the gold level, to the AMP program at amp.freetalklive.com. It stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote, AMP. And that helps us get Free Talk Live on more radio stations in around the United States. So if you appreciate the work that we do here, it's a good way for you to get behind what we do and support us and support Free Talk Live. So you get some cool perks too, some benefits by joining the AMP program, like Barefoot Anarchist has done. But it's only $5 a month. He's doing 10. You don't have to do that. You can do 5, and you still get all the cool perks over at amp.freetalklive.com. But we certainly appreciate people that want to do more, so thank you for that. amp.freetalklive.com. You can use PayPal, you can use credit card, debit card, or Bitcoin BTC. Let's go to the phones to your calls and thoughts. Kirby, to kick things off here tonight on the phones. Kirby, you're on Free Talk Live. Merry Christmas.
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
Super.
Merry Christmas, brother.
Well, I just wanted to comment on Nashville, Tennessee.
Is this the bombing?
This was
the terrorist attack.
This is the bombing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody was fairly well financed and has a special set of skills. If these was Muslims, in my opinion, somebody would have taken credit for it. This sounds like some Americans, we the people, who've gotten tired.
I have not looked at any of the details on this. Do you guys know anything about what happened?
I mean, I tend to think it's certainly plausible, but I don't necessarily have any basis for that. It just seems like something I could definitely see the government doing to drum up, terrorism again, to use it as another excuse of why I don't even know.
Apparently, it was an RV.
Do whatever they want to do.
Apparently, somebody had an RV and it was loaded up with the bomb. Is that right?
Where was this?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, it was near AT&T.
They actually wired a recording to it that started 30 minutes before it went off. The first 15 minutes, it just said if you were within the sound of this recording, evacuate the area.
Really?
For the last 15 minutes, it gave you a 15-minute countdown.
Wow.
This was someone who was wanting to prove a point that this can be done anywhere at any time. And I chose to do this when no one would get hurt.
Well, I'll tell you what, the government drops bombs all over the world, and it never troubles itself to warn the children or the civilians that it's about to bomb. So I would say whoever these people are, they're better than the United States government.
That's not terrorism.
Yep.
That's not terrorism. If you're being warned about something to leave the area, that means you're not trying to kill somebody, and that means you're attacking some sort of military target. And an AT&T building is certainly, connected that would be a military target, a legit military target in any time of war.
Exactly.
So this is a.
Well, I don't think they damaged the. Did it actually do anything to the AT&T building?
It was my understanding is it was like a block away from AT&T, but the servers were in the building that were right outside. Is where the RV was parked, basically, right outside the building with the servers.
See, if you really, I can tell you I haven't worked for AT&T. I worked for Sprint as a programmer for a while. If you really want to damage those guys, the way to do it is if you know how to code, if you know how to do database work, if you know Fortran, any of that stuff, get a job at AT&T. Seek out your coworkers who don't like the company and drop every table in their database.
They got backups and things.
No, they got backups, but every redundancy we designed, and we can break them if we want to. We know exactly. We, the technical,
you can
know exactly how to crash the world.
If you can cause the backups to fail to work, and then after a certain period of time, probably drop tables and things, and then it would be probably permanent.
Well, I don't know if we need to get into to all the
no.
Because you guys
that's the show I want to do.
No idea what you're talking about, but I'd sure love to know what Silver Dave thinks about this.
Because he used to do bomb work, right? With the
wow.
With
just because of who he used to work for. I mean, this sounds like people who've been to the sandbox, are familiar with explosives, are familiar with all of the different things that went into putting this together. You don't acquire those skills living on the streets of America. You acquire those skills working for Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably true, but there's other jobs potentially too that you would acquire those types of skills, like demolition work or similar.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff here that this person, whoever,
most of those guys learned that in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Look how many people. Obama himself said 10 years ago he considers every returning vet a potential terrorist.
Yeah. Well, they don't even teach that stuff in the technical high schools anymore. You got to take auto shop or something.
Yeah.
They don't have any blowing stuff up.
There's still.
This is not something somebody learned on YouTube.
There are still places like farmers and things, they still use explosives in a lot of places. And I think they've been trying to crack down in some areas at least. So certainly it's not the, I don't know. It seems like I think the problem is there's an overwhelming number of people who have explosives knowledge are from the military, I think is what it is.
Seems
not so much
likely
that there's no other source
and there
for
is a
getting that
pattern
knowledge.
here. The guy who took out 5 cops at the Black Lives Matter rally in Texas, in Dallas.
Yep.
Ex-military. Christopher Dorner, who courageously gave his all for the people after taking out 5 hostiles and was grievously.
You're talking about the cop that killed the other cops in California?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And, he was ex-military. A lot of people come out of the military knowing, they know what our government is capable of more than anyone else. And if I'm right about what that is, I would imagine that gives them more desire to harm them than anybody else in the world could have.
So apparently a lady that was there did hear the message. She lives in a nearby apartment, it sounds like, saying, "Evacuate now. There is a bomb in his vehicle, and it will explode." She remembers the recorded warning saying, and again, then it counted a 15-minute countdown. So it's a very interesting approach to a bombing. The story here at the Tennessean says
it's honorable. I would call it an honorable.
But unfortunately, it was too honorable.
It did, but it was a military target. It was a totally legitimate military target.
What he needed to do was grab hold of every droid in the local area, like the way advertisers do. And broadcast your message to every cell phone in the area.
I don't think advertisers have the ability to do that.
But
I think only the president has the ability to do that.
There's a thing called geofencing that will allow you to broadcast.
No, I don't think so. That's only for advertising within an app or something like that. You can't just throw an ad on somebody's cell phone.
You can't necessarily push that way, although you could if you paid enough money, but I'm sure.
The only person who can do that is Donald Trump. The president of the United States has a special button that he can press
It actually doesn't.
It
actually doesn't even work that well.
How many messages do I have to get out within the geographical area to win the bet?
If you guys want to have an idea of this in practice, think about when they issue warnings for weather. Those are bounded by geographical areas, but it's not. It doesn't work that well. I mean, you'll hear warnings about weather events that are not even happening in your area.
But still, those are government systems, not commercial. You don't have the ability to
I know. You're right. But I'm just saying, even when you have those,
you can broadcast a little bit outside the area. You will broadcast.
So, Kirby, do you think this was military?
No, actually, I think this was Americans who are sick and tired of their government mistreating them and walking us down this slope towards absolute tyranny. They did it to prove a point. I hope I don't sound like I'm involved, but in my opinion, they did this to prove a point.
It's interesting.
We can do this. No one is safe. If we choose to act a fool, we can make things very difficult for you. I mean, all it takes is a 12-year-old with on YouTube and a trip to Walmart and the paint store.
Thank you, Kirby, for the call tonight, man. I appreciate hearing from you. There's more coming up. This is Free Talk Live.
Well, it's the end of an era and the beginning of a new one.
Today, Pennington's black part of town moved across the river to North Pennington. The Thompson family sold their home on the east side and moved to the old Kirkland Place at 17 Mansfield Place, establishing the all-new black neighborhood. Northside residents are looking forward to the infusion of fun and funk that the new black part of town is sure to bring to their area. Mayor Mitzi Kranowitz presided over the dedication of the new black neighborhood, unveiling a sign designating it a landmark district.
It's lovely, everyone. Pennington's diversity is its strength, whether it's Little Harlem or the so-called Gayborhood, where Paul and his partner Bryant have that cottage.
Sheriff Stevens today announced that the heavy round-the-clock patrols that helped make the old Thompson house one of the safest neighborhoods in town will move with them.
This has nothing to do with the black part of town moving here. We just want to make sure that everyone here has a comfortable place to live.
This is the Onion News Network.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Stamps.com brings the post office and UPS shipping right to your computer. Go to Stamps.com to start a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with promo code FOX. That's Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the page and type in FOX.
Authorities calling it intentional. I'm Mary Corsetti, Fox News. The mayor of Nashville, John Cooper, has issued a state of civil emergency and a curfew until Sunday after a vehicle parked in downtown Nashville exploded early Christmas morning, causing major communication outages that took down police emergency systems and grounded flights at the city's airport.
This morning's attack on our community was intended to create chaos and fear in this season of peace and hope. But Nashvillians have proven time and time again that the spirit of our city cannot be broken. But we're not going to rest until those responsible for this outrageous and cowardly attack are brought to justice.
3 people were hurt in the explosion. 2 law enforcement officials tell the Associated Press that authorities have found human remains in the area of the explosion.
The explosion knocked one of our officers to the ground. I think one officer sustained some what we hope is temporary hearing loss.
Don Aaron of the Nashville Police Department. Downtown has been sealed off and a $10,000 reward is offered for any information. Also new today, a massive spending bill passed this week is now in doubt after President Trump voiced objections to the legislation.
It's unclear if President Trump will sign legislation providing $900 billion in coronavirus relief and $1.4 trillion in full government funding.
Perhaps the only mistake was believing the president and Secretary Mnuchin when we were told that the bill we passed would be signed by the President of the United States.
House Democratic leader Steny Hoyer says provisions took months to negotiate in a bipartisan manner and with White House input. President Trump is now demanding Congress increase stimulus checks from $600 to $2,000. The president also wants foreign aid reevaluated, but Republican Senator Roy Blunt says the $2,000 payments will not be approved in the Senate, and reopening the funding bill threatens a government shutdown.
Fox's Jared Halpern. I'm Mary Corsetti, and this is Fox News.
Life can be stressful, even under normal circumstances. 2020 has challenged even the most difficult times of life. These days, you need stress relief that goes beyond quick fixes. That's Headspace. Headspace is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in an easy-to-use app. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. So, however today's news hits you, Headspace really can help you feel better. Headspace's approach to mindfulness can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Backed by 25 published studies on its benefits, Headspace has 600,000 five-star reviews and over 60 million downloads. You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/Fox. That's headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. This is the best deal offered right now. Head to headspace.com/Fox today.
President-elect Joe Biden says he won't discuss details of the investigation into his son Hunter's business dealings with any potential nominee for Attorney General.
This is usually a major cabinet decision, and in this case, whoever the President-elect Joe Biden selects to lead the Justice Department, that Justice Department is very likely going to be still putting his son, Hunter Biden, under investigation next year. And the incoming White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, says that Biden is still going through the decision on this, and he says that the investigation into his son will have no bearing on that. Now, reportedly among consideration for Attorney General, former Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, Alabama Senator Doug Jones, and Judge Merrick Garland. Remember,
Fact. The new NSA data center in Utah requires 1.7 million gallons of water every single day to operate. Billions of Fourth Amendment violations need massive computers and the water to cool them. That water is being supplied by the state of Utah. Fact. There's absolutely nothing in the Constitution which requires your state to help the feds violate your rights. Our message to Utah: turn it off. no water equals no NSA data center. Visit offnow.org.
A new medical study on the effects of marijuana use confirms that everyone knows you're high and that you'll never stop feeling like this.
Everyone can smell the marijuana on your breath and on your clothes. Everyone is laughing at you.
Additionally, the in-depth report reveals that despite trying to act cool, you're definitely laughing too much and everyone is messing with you.
Your parents know you're high. Your friends know you're high. Strangers on the street know you're high. If you're young and you smoke marijuana, you will probably never be able to find a job. And if you're an adult, you will most likely be fired. If you hear a noise, that's probably the police, and you're probably going to jail.
While previous studies suggested that it's all good and that we're all made of the same stuff that makes stars, new research indicates that your brain got broken and you shouldn't have done this. Doctors say the study raises important questions such as, what if that wasn't just marijuana, and how are you going to get home?
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want. And we didn't start the show with this bombing situation because honestly, I didn't know anything about it.
I knew it, but I didn't really think of that was that particularly interesting.
I'm completely unaware of anything that went on outside my computer this week.
Yeah, anytime, I wouldn't say it was uninteresting. It's definitely interesting.
No,
anytime somebody sets a bomb off in the streets that is, fairly significant. I mean, this wasn't just some kid with a pipe bomb playing out in the backyard.
No, it wasn't.
This was a significant device that warned people.
Yeah, I think that was the interesting aspect of it, of the story, but generally just... I guess I think it is more interesting than I'm thinking, and I think maybe interesting was the right word.
This is unusual. It's unusual to see a bombing at all in the United States.
It is.
And especially one there where the bomb has a loudspeaker attached to it from inside the RV in which it was placed that was warning people for up to a half an hour prior to it exploding. Now, presumably this was basically, according to the story I'm reading here, it sounds like it was in the middle of the overnight hours. So there weren't that many people around.
Wasn't it like 5 a.m. or something like that? So
Something
yeah,
like that,
in a city, there's probably nobody around.
Clearly, no, I wasn't there. Clearly, that was the...
I kind of figured you weren't. You were here, right?
Clearly, these were people who wanted to fight against the institutions without harming the people. And that...
Well, I don't know how this is a fight against an institution. I mean, they set off a bomb in the streets of Nashville. So what institution...
Did they set it off or did they not set it off?
Well, somebody set it off. They set a timer and they walked away from the RV.
I wasn't sure if it had detonated or if it had been prevented from detonating.
No, dude, there was a huge explosion in Nashville today.
Okay.
That's why it's news.
This is huge news.
Groovy.
Well, no, it's not groovy. I mean, people had their windows broken. One lady had her windows blown out in her loft as a result of this. I mean, it's not like this was...
You gotta break some windows if you're going to take out a tyrannous government.
But this wasn't the tyrannous government. This is not a government bureaucrat who was disturbed by this.
It was collateral damage.
I bet you a lot of government bureaucrats were disturbed like this.
I mean, I honestly, if you're going to do it, I think this was the best way to do it. I mean, I get that it may not be the best strategy.
Hold on. How is this the best way to do a bomb? I mean, look.
We don't know what the target was, so we don't really know.
Avoid killing people.
No, I get what you're saying there, but he just blew up a bomb in the streets.
I mean, it was targeting servers at an AT&T
How do you
building.
know that?
This is what I was told by somebody who actually read the story and had more information than I, so I'm not entirely sure. But if we want to cover it, I mean, if you can bring up an article, it probably will tell us.
I've had one that I've been looking at here, and it only mentions that there's an AT&T building where a fireball flew over the building.
A block away was the actual AT&T building, but there were servers in another building that were right next to the RV, as I understand it. Yeah. So...
Okay. Well, it doesn't sound like it did much damage to anything except for the street.
Maybe they're not talking about what it did damage to. There
Maybe.
could have been an FBI, CIA facility there. Who knows?
I tend not to want to criticize this because sometimes it's not about actual damage. It's about sending a message, and it doesn't seem like that I don't.
Well, the message I get from that is
It's
we're
risky,
sophisticated, and if we don't get caught, we're going to do a better job next time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a risky message to send. It's a risky way to send a message, but it did get national news. It probably got international news.
And it did it without killing anybody.
Right, and it did it without killing people. I don't know. Like, I think if somebody is willing to go to that extent,
I think without a statement from the alleged bombers, you don't have a whole lot to go on.
No, we're speculating.
Maybe there will be one.
We're speculating here, I think. And but I think it seems like based off what I'm hearing, the message is pretty clear. We don't want to kill people. You don't go posting that fact that you're going to be,
no doubt. But what do they want?
Exploding a bomb to people.
I get that. That much is obvious. They didn't want to kill anyone. I get that. And good. I'm glad that they didn't. But what is the actual message? I mean, because that's nice, but what were they trying to accomplish?
It's a good question, and
stay tuned.
I don't know.
Sure, there may be round 2.
There could be.
That's the message. Stay tuned. So far,
and there's probably 2 different ways to look at this too. Like, it could just be an inside job where it's a government that's doing this in order to excuse other bad behavior that they want to do, and they want to excuse.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're not going to do it this way. That's not how the government would play
Probably
it. The
not,
government doesn't care how many people they kill.
Look, I don't think it
and
necessarily.
The government isn't going to make their imaginary predators look sympathetic.
Yeah,
I think you're right. I agree.
I think one of the things that it does say very clearly is this is not a false flag.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think it sounds and it looks very much more like a thought out situation of God knows how many people who have thought about how one might go about doing something like this without actually hurting people. And
that's the thing. You can't go killing people because, I mean, not cold blood. I mean, you can kill the police if they come for you, but you can't go around just randomly killing people and get the public sympathy or keep it that way.
It might be a attempt to spark revolution. I don't know. It's hard to tell what somebody is thinking, but
if you want to call in and speculate on this, feel free. Our number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. I mean, definitely looking at some aftermath photos here that were presumably taken today. There's quite a bit of debris in the streets. Some of these buildings did have some damage. They did take some damage. There's no doubt about that. But, what was the goal here? That's the real question.
I don't know, but I sure would like to.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. Like, you would think that there would be some sort of message that they would have tried to get out. And then the question is, if there is a message, what is the story not telling us? Like, what are the reporters not telling us?
See, that's the other thing is the news is going to make these people look as bad as possible.
Right.
So they're certainly not going to report on why they did it.
They rarely report on messages. Like, when something bad
that's
happens,
the
they never
last thing
tell
they
you.
want because they are bought and paid for by the government heavy.
This is something that's always bothered me about the news is when they arrest somebody for something that, especially when it's like something that's seemingly very atrocious, they never tell you, well, what was the person's motivation? Why did they do it? And most of the time, they probably have got good reasons, but they don't tell you those reasons. So it's like, oh, this person did bad thing. And it's like, well, okay, but why? I mean, I have a hard time, getting angry at somebody when I know there's something that they're not telling us. And, it's like, I don't know.
It's like the school shooters. There's reasons they do that. Yeah. And although it's a terrible thing.
But I can make my own judgment of whether or not what they did was bad if I have the reason. If I don't have the reason, I don't know if what they did was, justifiable or not.
And the thing is, it's not mutually exclusive. You can be bad and right at the same time.
Right.
There are a lot of bad people who are right about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Interesting detail here. According to the story at the-sun.com, they say that at least one building collapsed as a result of some of the damage that it took.
I wonder what was in there.
Yeah, it's not stated as to what that building was, but that is the claim.
See, that's
here.
Interesting. Usually they'd say, a dry cleaner or You said what it was.
Yeah,
do they not know, or
it's
are they
just
not
in here.
saying?
Yeah, it's just one little sentence in this story. The explosion led one building to collapse, and vehicles on the road have reportedly caught on fire.
Maybe that was a deep state building. Maybe, who knows?
Whatever.
I don't know.
If it was,
I'm not
going to
make up excuses for it.
If it was,
I'm curious as to what they're going to say. I want to hear it.
Yeah, if it was targeting AT&T and presuming, and this is a big presumption, but presuming it was infrastructure of some kind, you would think that there might be something
service
that
interruption
we might notice service interruption wise, but there's also like redundancy in the system, so maybe not.
According to
the other thing is, do they have a lot of redundancy on their black ops? Maybe those are with black ops. You have to balance redundancy with the more redundant you are, the more noticeable you are.
Yeah.
Investigators told CBS they believe the RV had been parked at the explosion site since December 24th.
Wow.
Buck McCoy, who lives near the area, posted videos on Facebook that show water pouring down the ceiling of his home. So, yeah, they're saying here that maybe this guy, whoever it was, because I saw a video of the alleged truck, or not video, but a still photo of some surveillance camera of the alleged RV as it was being driven. So how long it was parked there before they triggered the countdown, not real clear at this point. But again, if you want to comment, feel free to join us here, 603-283-6160. And you can join the show, the Christmas Day edition of Free Talk Live.
Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live listen line, 641-793-0191. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. It is the Christmas Day episode here. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight with you, you've got me, Ian.
Nobody.
Oh, sorry, Chris. Let's try that one more time.
And Chris.
Now it's working.
And Chris's microphone.
Indeed. We're talking about the Nashville bombing that happened outside of what appear to be just, normal city buildings. It's not clear which building, according to the news media, has collapsed as a result of the damage that it took. Multiple people's windows were blown out, and there's at least one picture here of the side of a building that has, and I don't know if this is what they're describing as collapsing, like. To me, when I think collapse, I think the entire thing comes down. But maybe that's not what they mean here, because there is a photograph of a building.
Well,
hold on, there's a photograph of a building that is basically missing most of its side wall, not the full wall, but like a chunk of large chunks of this wall have been completely downed, essentially. So maybe that's the one they're saying collapsed.
That's
a truck,
probably
a truck bomb is not going to make a building collapse into its own footprint, but it will knock a couple of walls down.
That looks like that's what might have happened here.
That's probably what they mean.
Yeah, it takes a lot of thermite to make a building collapse into its own footprint.
Yeah, this was by no means Oklahoma City level or anything like that. I don't think.
No,
because that did take a chunk out of that
building.
The
truck bomb in Oklahoma City, though, was inside the building when it went off.
I thought it was parked out front. Was it actually inside there?
No, it was parked.
Wasn't it inside?
Well,
or am
it
I
was
thinking of a different
semi-inside,
explosion?
semi-outside, as I recall. I think they had one of those U-shaped driveways that went under the roof.
The federal building, right?
I think it had that as a... So if you set off the bomb under that protective area, you would be under the floor of something. So I think it was inside it in that sense.
There was
but
a
I don't think you
parking
drove
garage.
through the window.
There was a parking garage under the building. That's why it was parked under the building, and that's why it was successful.
Okay.
From what I recall.
You may be right, or you may be thinking about the first World Trade Center bombing.
No.
So
this is the
were
one
you
with
guys-
like 90. What was it? 1992, 3.
What's this?
Or no, 98.
What are you talking about?
No, maybe it was 98.
What are you talking
It was
about?
the 90s. I know it was the 90s.
Which bombing are you talking about?
The Federal Trade Center. Oh wait, maybe.
World Trade Center? That was the 93 or something.
It wasn't the Federal. It wasn't the Trade Center. It was the other one.
Huh?
It was the other federal building. The FBI. I think the FBI was.
It was
there.
1 year to the day after the Waco murders, and which would
You talking about Oklahoma City?
Huh?
You're talking about Oklahoma City, right?
Yeah, Oklahoma City.
So I mean, the chat room seems to be a little confused. Were you guys saying? Did I miss you guys? One of you guys saying that you support this bombing?
No, I don't know what it. I don't know
think anybody said
what's
that.
behind it. I'm open to agreeing with the people who did it, but they haven't said anything yet.
Right.
So
We don't
I
know.
can't.
We don't know whether or
Do
not.
you think that? I mean,
I
when
don't
you say,
condemn it.
When you say you agree with them. There was a ton of private property
What
damage.
did I agree with them on?
You said you were open. Okay, you said you were open to agreeing with them. I mean, there's a ton of private property damage here.
Well, it's be collateral damage.
Anytime
you're okay with that,
there will
It's not
absolutely
my particular
be,
strategy to go about.
There's collateral
activism,
damage every day that
Yeah.
we tolerate the existence of
Yeah.
government. There are lives ruined. There are people murdered every year. Property stolen every year. We're all confined to quarters for no apparent reason, convicted of no crime. And yet,
conceiving
I
why
mean,
somebody.
how many lives do they have to take before it's worth rattling some windows?
Conceiving why somebody would do something does not necessarily mean that you agree with them. And
Yeah.
I think
Well,
people are
hold on.
misinterpreting the ability.
We're not talking about rattling windows here. We're talking about property damage, destroyed windows. We're talking about an entire side of a building being taken down, and this is not an attack against the government.
First of all, I don't know I agree with that, but second, the government drops bombs on people, okay? Not buildings.
So that means it's okay to bomb innocent buildings?
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm simply saying
what are you saying?
That one, I think this was it would be certainly a military target in any act of war, taking out the infrastructure, the communications infrastructure of a country. That's certainly a valid target for a war. Now, I'm not saying that's okay from a moral standpoint. I'm saying the government would say that's okay, right? So if the government says it's okay,
you're not the government, we're not the government, right?
No, I'm not. But I'm saying if somebody is looking at it from that perspective, okay.
Well, you don't even know if that's what was going on here. You have no idea if there was any kind of infrastructure that was attacked.
It's entirely speculative, right?
Yeah.
But as I understood it, okay, at least it was an AT&T building that housed servers. It was a block away from other AT&T communications infrastructure. Presuming that's the target, it seems like a legitimate military target.
Possibly. I mean, if you examine the history of, for example, the American Revolution, I think that what you'll find is that a whole lot of stuff done blowed up when that was going on. And that's going to happen when you're removing a dangerous infestation like a government. And it's kind of like at that point you're looking at a medical issue, okay, which is basically this patient has a tumor and we have to remove this tumor or the patient will die. And we don't want to do too much damage to the patient in the process of removing this tumor. We don't want to do any more damage than we have to, but it's better to remove the tumor than to let the tumor kill the patient, and the patient is the body politic. And by killing them, what I mean is kill what makes them human, reduce them to abject slavery, which is what they want to do to us. And yes, you have an absolute right.
Can't you do that without attacking civilian targets?
Well, I don't know that they were attacking a civilian target.
It was a normal street in Nashville where people had their property destroyed. You guys don't care about that?
I think that's...
Lots of things happen on normal streets. How many people do the governments kill on normal streets
I don't
every
necessarily
year?
think this is necessarily the... I don't know what the strategy is, all right? But
I don't know what the strategy is.
I'm not willing to...
For all I know, it's somebody...
it sounds like it's somebody who's trying to do something, whether or not I agree with them, okay? They're trying to do it in the most optimal way possible within...
But you don't know anything about this. I mean, you're presuming that there was an AT&T server there, but you have absolutely no idea if there was or not.
I don't know for sure, but that's from what I understand. That's what I was told. So
by whom?
Well, my boyfriend who read the story. So
okay,
yeah.
Well, I haven't seen anything about that. That doesn't mean that there was or there wasn't.
And the thing is,
regardless, if there's a server sitting in a building. You think it's okay
it's not a server. It's
whatever. If it happened to be right up against the wall,
it depends on what you're doing and why you're doing it.
I mean,
you guys support potentially killing innocent people over killing a server.
It sounds like they went out of their way not to kill people.
I understand that.
Which
they
is
definitely
one of the
did,
reasons that I'm inclined to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt too. That they had good reason, and sometimes, unfortunately, the negative side of change is people will die. And
read a little bit of history of the French Resistance and think about, at what point do you blow up the Nazi headquarters, even though there are a couple of good people next door? The Nazis are killing thousands of people every day.
Yeah.
So you have
I don't want any innocent blood on my hands.
You have to engage in that kind of calculus.
Don't tell me anything about what I have to do. I don't have to do anything like that.
Well, you don't have to. Only the people who win the conflict have to do that kind of conflict, have to do that kind of calculus. You can lose it.
Yeah, just because I'm not doing it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to frown on somebody who is.
Coming up.
July 25th, we adopted April. She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany. But when she started scratching like crazy, I said to John, it's got to be her food. You know, what you put into a dog is what you get out. We heard this radio commercial, and this woman was so excited about Dinovite, DINOVITE.com. I said to John, I'm getting this. So the Dinovite comes, and I thought, a light bulb moment. She loves her dog food. She always leaves a little bit in her bowl. So we added a huge scoop of Dinovite in it, and then we swished it around like gravy. She dove into that bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. So that's been the routine. April gets Dinovite for dessert. Her coat is now soft. It's silky. Dinovite is nutrition. She even walks like a little princess.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
On Dinovite, she's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means, stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. It is the Christmas Day episode here. As always, you're invited. If you want, you can take control of the airwaves. 603-283-6160. 603-283-6160. And if you want to call in, it'd be great if some of these folks in the chat room, they've got a lot to say, but they're not calling in to say it. So unfortunately, I'm not going to do as good of a job as one of them, because Let me just say, what you guys are saying here is not going over well at all.
Oh, it's not. I wouldn't expect it to.
In the chat room, and I got to say, I firmly I'm with the chat room on this one. I think you guys are out of line.
So what are they saying? What are they so upset about?
You guys are basically cavalier about other people's private property, saying, oh, well, as long as somebody wanted to bomb an AT&T server, it's totally fine to blow up other people's homes. Totally fine.
I didn't say totally fine. I said I'm open to hearing about why it happened.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Nobody's.
Bottom line is, I don't expect everybody in the world to be an anarchist. Not everybody's going to be. There are lots
anarchists
of other
don't necessarily support destroying private property.
As a matter of fact, anarchists. As a matter of fact, the people who did this were obviously not philosophical anarchists, or they were not behaving as philosophical anarchists.
But you're saying it's fine because you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet.
I'm not saying it's necessarily fine. I'm saying, I want to hear why this happened, because there are some signs that these people deserve to be heard, one of which is they did go out of their way to avoid killing people. That's not to say that property is without value, but I don't know why they did what they did, first off. And until I do know why, I'm not gonna make a judgment of them.
Yeah.
It will be a mass of possibilities. So this is Schrodinger's bombing at this point. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, this person put themselves probably at great risk to do this. I'm not, the fact that, there was a little bit of somebody's window was broken. I mean, I've had my windows broken, and I don't freak out over it, or not because of a bombing. But the point is that I'm not going to freak out because there was a little bit of unintended consequences that had nothing to do.
It does sound like some
their
of these
objectives.
consequences were. I mean, certainly
it was a side effect. It wasn't the target.
No, it's true. It was collateral damage.
You think you'd be all right if you just woke up to a bombing out in front of your house and have to repair the entire front wall of your facility? That would just be like, oh yeah, no problem. Hey, they want to attack AT&T, so it's cool. I mean, you guys. Really?
I think it's in the scheme of what they're attempting to do.
You don't even know what they're attempting to do.
Exactly.
But what if, okay, give me a scenario where something that they're attempting to do would agree with you, and you're like, yeah, sure, just blow the crap out of people's buildings.
There you go. They're bombing the guy who builds the nanobots to put in the freaking vaccines to turn us into zombies. Yeah. I don't know.
This seems...
Because whatever it is, I can imagine our government doing, it's capable of things that are 10 times worse. But they're so bad that they would never even cross my mind.
I'm presuming, and maybe I'm wrong here, but that this person is not happy with the government's violence on other people. And this is an act of...
I may be completely wrong on that.
We could be wrong. It's all speculative.
Yeah,
but I'm going to give the person the benefit of the doubt, given that this person has intentionally gone out of their way to avoid killing innocent people.
Right, but they destroyed private property.
Not knowing who they
was not their
are
target.
Yet.
It was.
It's hardly vital that you get my condemnation of them tonight.
Yeah, this is
There's plenty of time to find them first.
The kid who breaks your window because he's playing, a sport in his front yard.
This isn't like that at all.
It's exactly like that. He didn't intend to break your window.
This isn't just a broken window. According to Singularity, there's internal property damage. This is not an accident.
Sorry,
This isn't some kid accidentally tossing a rock through your window.
They were intending to target the AT&T infrastructure, and there were other buildings nearby that happened to also get damaged.
And that's
but
okay
that
with you?
may not be the case. It may come out that it was something completely different. And if it was something completely different,
I'm going to
then it was something completely different. I'll make a completely different judgment about it.
Based off what appears to have occurred, that this was this was actually an honorable act of somebody who was stepping up to the plate.
It looked like this
and defending us from a government that is using violence on all of us.
You are completely speculating, and even if that were true,
it's not speculative that the government will lock up millions of us, that the government will kill tens of thousands of us.
Sure, that doesn't make it okay for you to be like them.
It definitely does not.
No.
But yet, I don't know why this happened.
Yeah,
Can I say it any more clearly? I do not know.
Yeah, we're giving people, again, the benefit of the doubt, right? So I'm not saying
it's okay.
I'm not saying it was okay.
No.
I'm not saying it was okay.
You just said just a moment ago,
Chris. I'm saying I could conceive that this person had good intents.
How can you have a good intention if you're blowing up innocent
Just because
people's
you're wrong
property?
does not mean you didn't have good intention.
Do you think that you can set off a bomb in a city street that
at 5 a.m. in the morning,
do I think there are
there.
circumstances under which it would be morally imperative to set off a bomb that would kill an innocent person? Yes, there are times when it would be morally imperative to do
just
that.
Because my tolerance for abuse is greater than this gentleman's tolerance for abuse, presumably. Who am I to judge?
Yeah, you would be judging if this was your house. If this was your house, if somebody decided they wanted to go...
Then I would be making an emotional judgment instead of looking at it logically. And saying, I don't know.
I've had
the words "I don't know" are the first step to wisdom.
I've had property damaged by other people, that was an accident. And
this isn't an accident.
I disagree. I don't necessarily think you can say that it wasn't an accident. It was.
What do you mean it wasn't an accident? Somebody drove a truck somewhere, parked it, and set off a bomb in there.
But they didn't, presuming that they were not trying to kill people and they were targeting the AT&T building. There's no reason to believe that, as far as we know, that this person was targeting anything other than the AT&T building.
There's also no reason to believe that's what they were doing because you have absolutely no evidence that was actually the building that took damage.
Well, how much evidence do you have?
That's
you
the
show
building
me your documents, I'll
to.
show you mine.
That's the building that's the presumption that we have right now, that he was parked next to an AT&T facility.
And that makes it okay to destroy other people's buildings because you don't like AT&T?
We don't know.
It's not AT&T, it's government, man. It's government. AT&T works directly with the government. Okay.
So that makes it okay to target other people who happen to be around other people's property
we don't
and destroy
know
other people's
if
property
that
because
was
you don't like the
targeted.
government.
We don't know what happened.
I don't know. I'm not willing to jump to the conclusion. I don't know.
You've been jumping to conclusions all night.
We're presuming. We're speculating. Okay, that's what we do. That's what talk radio effectively is. It's speculation based off a lack of information. And I'm not going to.
Yeah, and you're justifying what happened based on the speculation.
I can't justify it because, like I keep saying, I don't know.
I'm not talking to you. I'm looking at him as I'm speaking to him.
I will justify the scenario in which it appears to be occurring to me based on insufficient information.
So destroy.
If the information is different than what I'm assuming it is, then
let's say it is what you're assuming it is. Let's say it's exactly what you're assuming it is. So fine, go ahead and destroy other people's storefronts, other people's homes, their windows. No, totally fine to you just because AT&T works with the government and these people happen to live next door?
I think you're way underestimating the connection between AT&T and the government. And
no, I'm not actually. I know that they work with the government. They have secret black offices.
So they're part of the intelligence infrastructure.
So because
just
there's
like
some
the
intelligence
FBI,
infrastructure,
like the CIA.
Yeah. So that makes it okay to destroy other people's property?
Well, I guess what it comes down to is, do you think it's okay to defend yourself against the government? And if that means destroying government property, is that not okay?
We're not talking about government property. We're talking about private property. No, we're talking about the neighbors, the private property owners, the people who have homes.
Unintentional damage.
Guess what? Anytime you go to war, there's collateral damage.
So you guys are okay with that then?
If somebody gets hurt because I defend myself, I'm sorry. Was not my intent. I will maybe try to compensate them. But
you're saying this was a self-defense.
I'm looking at this and assuming that this is an act of self-defense. It may not be. I might not have been willing to do that because I don't necessarily see it from that person's perspective. But I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. The number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. You guys, if you want to, I obviously can't make any dent on you guys, so we might as well just move along here. I'm
pretty much undentable. I've got a Teflon head.
Yeah. It's surprising to hear you guys say that private property should be destroyed if it's, in the pursuit
it's surprising to hear you lie about
more coming up.
What I just.
If you're looking for work, the person you are applying to is probably so swamped with applicants that he or she is tough to reach. So call early in the day, before 8 a.m., before the palace guards arrive. You'll need your prospect's direct number, and here's a sneaky way to get it. Suppose the company's main number is 555-5000. You should call 555-5012. When someone says, "Good morning, Pam Johnson," you should innocently say, "Oops, somebody here must have written this down wrong. I was calling for Tom Frederick. What's his direct number?" If the very next thing you hear isn't Pam giving you Tom's number, it may be, "Good morning, Tom Frederick." For more tips for job seekers and getting better results in all your day-to-day communication, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live.
If I was freezing to death in the car with the keys on the floor, I'd still been charged in New York. In any case, so what happened with me was, they threatened me with 4.5 years in a state prison, and this is what led me to the ideas of liberty. That I say, this is crazy. I didn't hurt anybody. What's going through my head is, this can't happen. I have to stop them. I should just go out blasting.
Thanks for not doing it, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
I like hanging out with you.
It's going swimmingly. So this whole living thing. There's a lot to it. But when I got involved with the Libertarian Party, I was kind of looking. The idea was I was looking for something to die for, frankly, and I found something to live for.
Aww.
As I'm going forward, I'm finding things that I can do instead of getting myself killed. And this is, the gist of the story of how the Libertarian Party saved my life. That this was my introduction to all of these things.
Interesting.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up what you want here, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And you did just admit to me, Chris, off the air, that you have not seen any footage.
I've not.
You don't know anything.
I only know what I've been told, and based on what I understand the situation to be,
and
that's what I think. Now, I could be wrong.
I told you.
I could be wrong. I'm open to being wrong.
Okay. I told you earlier.
If there's more information,
that there's internal damage. Can you hear me? There's internal damage.
Internal damage to
in
what?
These buildings.
To AT&T's buildings?
No. There's a bunch of buildings that took damage from this explosion.
Okay.
Internally.
Okay.
So you were saying, it's just like a kid that broke a window outside of your house. And I'm telling you,
it sounds
it's
like
not
it.
Like,
I don't know if it is.
Okay, I'm telling you.
Okay.
There's internal damage in these buildings. There's a huge mess, all kinds of destruction. Okay? We're not just talking about a broken window.
How does that measure up against the tactical objective of the strike?
I don't know what the tactical objective of the strike was.
Then I guess you can't make a judgment yet.
I can make a judgment that I don't want to see people's private property being destroyed.
Let me say this. I think somebody who is advocating pacifism, I think is certainly, I think you are perfectly valid in your.
I'm not advocating pacifism.
I know you're not. Okay, close. You're close enough to it. I think you're perfectly right in saying this was wrong. I don't necessarily think that I'm going to make a judgment that somebody else is wrong, even if I don't agree with just because I disagree with them.
I'm not going to make a judgment of them certainly until I know why it was done.
Yeah, I can still disagree with them on what they did without condemning them for something they did that.
So would you say that if there's enough property damage, then you would disagree with it?
I already would say that
because you blew it off.
I already said that I don't agree. I would not have done this myself.
Yeah.
So I've already said that.
Okay. Well,
let's put it this way: if somebody launches the strike that takes out the U.S. government, okay, and a year and a half from now we're free as a result, and a half a dozen people get killed in the first strike of that war.
It's a ridiculous what-if statement. You know that's not going to happen. It's not an option.
Well, maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe it is. I don't know.
And this is exactly, Ian, this is exactly the point, right? Like, that's why I'm not going to participate in that, because it doesn't seem like it's going to have any impact and, anyway.
Okay. So you're against this.
I just said I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to support it.
I understand that. So you're against what happened.
I don't want to say I support it for sure.
Okay.
I'm against I'm against judging things when I don't know.
I'm gonna
See, I know enough to know that I don't support people's private property being destroyed.
I'm gonna sympathize with the guy who I think is doing it for reasons.
So
that
you feel
are,
sorry for him?
I can sympathize. I don't know if sorry is the right word, but
that's
sympathize.
what sympathy is. It's where you feel sorry for somebody.
Well, sympathizing with somebody
or
can
you can also agree with them.
also mean that you have some agreement with them. For example, I sympathized with the guys who did the Oklahoma City bombing.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
Because on the one hand, it was like, I don't like the tactic that they used. On the other hand, and also some of their politics were completely different from mine. But some of them were very much like mine, enough that I could understand.
But the Oklahoma City building didn't
why
involve...
they did what they did.
It's not even about politics. It's about these goons, these government goons, are literally going out there and killing people. I mean, I'm sorry, but I have a hard time sympathizing with somebody who dies, who is out there murdering people.
Yeah. So basically, say the U.S. government kills 25,000 people a year, although that seems pretty low.
Are you talking about within the United States or worldwide?
Well, we might as well go worldwide because every life is a life. So let's say they kill 1 million people a year. Okay, all told. 1 million people. And let's say that in the process of your revolution against that power, you kill 10,000 innocents as collateral damage. But in the process, you take out the government that's killing 1 million people every year. Well, is that mathematically, as an engineer, I have to say that sounds like a good trade-off.
What about morally?
Because the thing is, morality is a funny thing because part of it comes down to how well am I going to sleep at night? And one of the reasons I've never done military service is because I wouldn't sleep very well at night if I was doing that.
It's never desirable
to
kill, whether it's your enemy or your friend.
There are people who do that sort of thing, and I would rather having them do it to the government than do it for the government.
603-283-6160. Let's go to Steve in Connecticut. Steve, you're on Free Talk Live.
Merry Christmas, gentlemen.
Hey, go ahead.
Now, it's the job of the caller to make the host look good. Now, you guys are a circular firing squad here. I mean, and I'm kind of siding with nobody on this one.
Really? What does that mean? When you say you're siding with nobody?
Nobody agrees with me.
Well,
there's something wrong with this picture if you're agreeing with him or either of us.
I'm sorry, not nobody, but Pope nobody. I'm siding with him because he was saying that, there is collateral damage. You have to break a few eggs to make an omelet, as a government operation. But, I mean, you could look at this thing and it could be just a disgruntled AT&T employee who got laid off or whatever and just said, you know what, I've had enough. I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. But it could be if they find out that
I've
the
had
guy
that
has,
phrase stuck in my head for
a
months.
first name, a middle name, and a last name. He's a government agent. That's all.
I would rather try to solve problems, than condemn everybody who's made a mistake. Is what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I can't judge whether something is a mistake until I know what the
if we get
what the tactical objective was.
Upset about what people do, we're never going to solve the problems that led to them doing whatever bad thing that we believe they did was. Right.
And certainly there's no need to rush for judgment in the absence of information.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Right. I think we got to move on to another topic.
That's a good idea.
Speculation. but listen to you guys as a third person objective. Like, you guys are just like shooting each other.
Well, yeah.
Anyway,
I'm an
I'm
engineer.
surprised,
I
honestly.
have to be able to turn off emotion and think about, if I do it this way, 25 people a year die. And if I do it that way, 23 people a year die. And so the second design is the better design. Well, you have to think that way when you're designing, for example, products, which will kill a certain number of people every year, no matter how well you do it.
You're not wrong, nobody, but I think people are interpreting what you're saying or what I'm saying as it's okay to murder people. And that's not what anybody's saying.
I haven't said that, but it has sounded like
property.
you're saying it's okay to damage property. That was what it sounded like you were saying.
I'm not saying it's okay to damage, people's property. It's
okay.
It's
well, it
not.
sounded like that earlier.
Well,
No,
there are
it's
certainly
not.
times when it can be.
Mm-hmm.
It's unavoidable, I think, at times, right? If you're in a car and the brakes go, and you have a choice of hitting a person or hitting somebody's property, I'm going to hit the property.
That's an accident.
Yeah,
This is not an accident, so you can't compare those two.
Okay.
I don't
if
necessarily.
you're intentionally
I don't know.
rescuing somebody
Yeah.
from a life-threatening situation,
I don't know.
You might well have to kill somebody accidentally or unfortunately on your way in or on your way out. You might put out your little warnings that something lethal is going to have happen in this area, and they might not hear you, or they might not understand you, or they might think you're kidding, and they might die as a result. And guess what? If you're engaged in a violent action, then you at least have made the decision that for your purposes, you believe that calculus measures out for the better. Now that's going to depend on your value system. I don't know.
Are you going to make the damage right? No, you're not. You might not be around.
Sometimes it's not always a way of sometimes it's not always a question of all right or all wrong. Sometimes it's a question of he's a bastard, but at least he's our bastard.
I don't even know what you're saying.
I'm not going to presume that this was, I doubt that he would have it doesn't sound like this is a guy who's out to hurt people, okay, or other people's property. That's not what this sounds like.
That's just crazy. I'm sorry. If you think that you're not out to destroy other people's property, then don't set a bomb off in somebody's neighborhood.
Well, if
you know you're going to do damage.
If you don't want people blowing up bombs in your neighborhood, don't let evil institutions like governments set up in your neighborhood.
Oh, come on. What are you supposed to do? If AT&T wants to rent the building next to you, what are you supposed to do about that?
Was this a residential neighborhood?
It's a downtown place. You know there's people that live above.
So it's commercial. It's mostly commercial space, basically. It doesn't...
there's people who live here. And yes, there are commercial spaces. That doesn't make it okay to destroy your storefront.
I haven't seen how this was set up, okay? But
I'm trying to tell you, but you don't care.
Yeah. I'm not going to make a judgment based on a verbal
More coming up. This is Free Talk Live. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Stamps.com brings the post office and UPS shipping right to your computer. Go to Stamps.com to start a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with promo code FOX. That's Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the page and type in FOX.
A state of emergency. I'm Mary Corsetti, Fox News. Nashville authorities continuing to investigate an intense blast, injuring at least 3 people early on Christmas morning.
About a quarter of a mile up the road from where that massive explosion went off, there's still police presence just down the road from us, but they've essentially blocked off that explosion area for safety and investigative reasons. Right now, authorities are looking for any information they can find about the RV. They say it arrived at 2nd Avenue North, downtown Nashville, around 1:22 this morning, before police say it was deliberately blown out. We're told trees were knocked down, windows blown out. The force of the blast also causing structural damage to several buildings in the area.
Fox's Charles Watson. Plus, on Christmas Day, President-elect Joe Biden is urging Americans to think of each other as the coronavirus continues to spread across the country.
Many of our fellow Americans are struggling to find work, literally put food on the table, pay their rent or their mortgage. We're reminded we're on this earth to care for one another.
President Trump is in Florida for Christmas with a big decision to make on whether to sign off on the coronavirus relief bill, despite his request for $2,000 checks instead of $600 being denied by House Republicans. Meanwhile, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announcing that authorities will be knocking on the doors of travelers from the UK to make sure they're completing a mandatory 2-week quarantine. President of the New York State Troopers Police Benevolent Association, Thomas Mungier, on Fox and Friends.
This reeks 1930s Germany or even Stalin's Soviet Union. These sheriff's deputies are going to go knocking on doors, absent somebody answering the door. They have no authority to enter the premises. They have no warrants. I really think it's mismanagement of their resources.
Mayor de Blasio says that anyone found not to be quarantining will be fined $1,000. America is listening to Fox News.
This holiday season, more people will be mailing stuff than ever before. Stamps.com brings the post office and now UPS shipping right to your computer so you can mail and ship anything from the convenience of your home or office. With Stamps.com, you can print postage on demand and save money with deep discounts you can't even get at the post office. Like 5 cents off every stamp, up to 40% off priority mail, and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Print official stamps and labels right from your computer for any letter, package, or class of mail, anywhere you want to send. Once your mail's ready, schedule a pickup or drop it off. It's a no-brainer. Don't spend a minute of this holiday season at the post office. Right now, listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale with no long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Fox. Stamps.com. Enter Fox. Go right now to Stamps.com. Enter Fox.
In Roseville, Minnesota, a Minneapolis-St. Paul suburb, about 75 members of St. Michael's Lutheran Church gathered outside, observing social distancing guidance, to attend a Christmas Eve service, despite temperatures below zero.
Glad to be here. I mean, we can't see each other's faces completely, but I think there's a lot of smiles.
Church member Ron LaFawn speaking. One popular item for the service, hand warmers. Meanwhile, the first black president of an American college is being honored with a sculpture in Vermont. Fox's Paul Stevens has this story.
Martin Henry Freeman, born in Rutland, Vermont in 1826, now honored with a larger-than-life marble bust in a downtown square, part of the Rutland Sculpture Trail. Freeman.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
People are saying it could be a baby bump. Our senior celebrity correspondent, Tyler, is here. Tyler, you always have the inside dish. What's the deal?
She looks like she got fat, so she might have a baby in her tummy.
Oh? What else have you heard?
I heard she has a boyfriend, and they have sex.
That's right. You know, the Hollywood couple vacationed in Rome together just 2 months ago.
They had a big hotel room, and I can tell you what they did in it.
Spill it, Tyler.
He put his in her.
Hot. She is one lucky gal.
And she's going crazy.
Uh-oh. Is stardom starting to wear on Emma?
Yeah, she's crazy and dumb. She put a carrot in her.
Whoa. Do tell.
Yeah, she said, oh, this carrot's like my boyfriend's. I'm gonna rub it all over my. I'm so gross. Then she ate it like Bugs Bunny.
What a hot mess. Hey, Emma, get it together, girl. Tyler, you are breaking news as always.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. It is Free Talk Live, kicking off the third hour of the program here. You can join us and bring up what you want. In the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Nobody. And Chris.
We're going to continue here. You can, as I say, bring up anything that's on your mind. We originally were talking about the spending bill, this COVID bailout part 2.
How many people is the COVID operation going to kill? How many people do you think it's killed so far?
I don't know what you mean by the COVID operation. What do you mean by
that? Well,
the
the fake pandemic. The how many suicides have they caused? How many murders have they caused? How many overdoses have they caused?
Quite a few.
Yeah. How many loss of businesses? How much damage to property have they caused? How much of our property have they stolen for themselves? Yeah.
I don't know. A lot.
It's important questions to consider.
Yeah, no doubt. But if you want to go and get revenge on somebody, which I don't suggest that you do, I would hope that you would get revenge on the people that actually did the damage rather than the neighbors.
Well, the question is, what was the purpose
they were trying to do?
I don't care what they were trying to do, Chris. They set off an effing bomb in a city street, and they destroyed people's property, and you're just blowing it off like it doesn't mean anything.
Well, it certainly means something.
I will agree.
Yeah, it would mean something to you.
It doesn't look good as far as
it doesn't look good when you have an entire floor of your apartment flooded. When you've got water coming down from the ceiling because the pipes burst because of the blast radius that you were in.
It looked like it was a poor choice of targets. I'll give you that.
Okay.
But we don't know what the target was.
Well, we don't.
It doesn't matter what the target was because people got their property damaged in this, and you don't care about that.
Well, I don't care about that.
It wasn't your house.
Depending on what was the objective of the strike. That we don't know. Was the objective of the strike
it doesn't matter.
A CIA lab? Was it the place where they coordinated Epstein's operation?
What would it matter?
Was it? Why would it matter?
Yeah, why would it matter?
Because if you take out 5 people in the process of killing somebody who will kill 100 tomorrow, then you've saved 95 lives.
So you believe.
Yes, so you believe.
But then you're just as bad as the state.
Well, no, because they're doing it because they're greedy, and you're doing it to stop them from doing it.
We can agree on this wasn't the optimal way to go about.
Maybe it was. What was the objective?
I could be wrong too. I could be wrong about this, but I don't think this was the optimal way to go about trying to do, a defensive action against. Or a defensive action with the government being the attacker. I don't think this was the best solution.
Well,
I think we can all agree on that.
Contrary to popular belief, there are actually very few problems in life that are best solved with pry explosive. Right. But they do exist, and they tend to be of the pernicious variety when and where they do exist.
603-283-6160. Let's go to the phones here. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, you're on the air. Who's this?
Oh, I usually have the screener. Well, anyway, I'm calling about I read an article in the local little paper here, and it mentions a snow leopard at a zoo catches COVID virus, which I think is a bunch of bull.
You said it mentions a snow leopard catching COVID?
Yeah, they blame it on an asymptomatic staff member. Anybody knows that they're feeding these animals from the slaughterhouse, and that's where the disease is coming from.
Well, any snow leopard entering my place of business is just going to have to wear a mask.
That's funny.
Yeah, I don't believe in all this mask junk. I've got a message board out front that says, like Ernie said, Face of Liberty wears no mask, vaccinehoax.com, civil disobedience, and all this stuff. I try to get people to give up all this stuff, but they won't let me my own.
My special delivery instructions on my Domino's account say, I'm not scared of you, and I don't need to see you in a mask.
What was your name, ma'am? I'm sorry. Yeah, we didn't get a chance to screen you before I put you on here.
Jean from Kentucky.
Jean?
Yes.
Jean, what do you think about this bombing in Nashville?
Well, I'm not sure, but it's probably trying to get rid of people's landlines.
You think they're trying to get rid of landlines?
Want everybody on cell phones that can track you.
Well, that's an interesting theory. Thank you, Gene, for the call tonight. I definitely appreciate hearing from you. So there you go, bombing AT&T to get rid of landlines.
Look, man,
AT&T is a pretty large mobile carrier.
I have to say,
as well.
There's all types, right? And the reasons for this may have be absolutely off the wall crazy.
Oh yeah,
it's certainly possible.
Unless they can offer me a pretty damn good explanation, I'm going to have a hard time being down with what happened. But there are circumstances under which I'd say, yeah, it was worth it.
Right, and I'm the same way. It's like, it sounds like an unfortunate situation. It probably shouldn't have happened, but
okay, even if it was an AT&T server room for the evil CIA or something like that, you would say it still shouldn't have happened?
Well, that depends on what they were doing, doesn't it? What was their death toll?
If that's what's enabling the government to come and kill me, I think I'm going to be in my right mind to take it out.
Is that what's enabling the government to come and kill you?
It's part of the infrastructure that's assisting them. Sure.
I don't know how they do it.
I think they know where you live without having to have a server room.
Well, sure, but
they can just follow you home.
Whether or not, if they're going to take me out with they're probably not going to take me out with a missile. But the point is, if it was a country type of scenario, then and they might.
603-283-6160. If you want to jump in here, you're welcome to join us. So I don't know if there's anything else to say about this particular issue. I want to go back to the original one that we started the show with here, which was about the new spending bill that had all manner of restrictions imposed by the federal government on e-cigarette sellers online, where they would then amend the Jenkins Act of 1949, which requires vendors who sell cigarettes to customers in other states to register with the tax administrators in those states and notify them of all sales so they can collect taxes that the buyers are supposedly obligated to pay.
Make tax collectors birds again.
In 2002, the General Accounting Office found the online cigarette sellers routinely flouted the Jenkins Act, and the federal government had done virtually nothing to enforce it. 9 years later, Congress amended that law, beefing up its reporting requirements and extending it to cover roll-your-own tobacco. The Feinstein bill further expands the Jenkins Act, redefining the word cigarette to include electronic nicotine delivery systems.
Because it's much easier to just change the meanings of words than to, actually come up with justifications for your policy.
Well, that's what they do. They're government, so they change meanings of words. That's how legalese works.
Yep, they redefine stuff.
So, how many people die because of this bill? How many people end up... It's a good question.
Even Chris is rolling his eyes now at this.
Well, it doesn't seem unlikely to me. If I had not had easy access to vapes, I might be dead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I would be. I don't know. I wouldn't be.
What are you suggesting here? Why do you ask that? Why are you asking that question?
Well, because it's an important question to consider. How many people will die as a result of your actions or your lack thereof.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're not going to consider that.
No, they're not going to consider it because they don't care.
They don't care.
No, they
exactly. Don't. So, according to the story here, they again found that the electronic. So they redefined it to mean electronic nicotine delivery systems, which are obviously not cigarettes. But that's the way the law works. It's also counterintuitively defines electronic nicotine delivery system to include products that do not deliver nicotine. Quote, any electronic device that through an aerosolized solution delivers nicotine, flavor, or any other substance to the user inhaling from the device.
Does that mean like those little Pez dispensers are now illegal to ship in the mail?
Those aren't aerosolized.
Oh, okay. It has to be aerosolized.
But Cheese Whiz is toast.
Oh, you're right.
Is that aerosolized?
Yeah. It's aerosolized. Whipped cream too.
That's what the title of the story should have been. They outlawed rather than
whipped cream.
This. They outlawed. Yeah.
Well, they haven't outlawed it. They're just going to tax it.
Tax it. Okay.
So the number here is 603.
Well, I'll be as happy to evade those taxes as I am to evade any other tax because evil people don't get my money.
So that would include presumably any kind of cannabis vaping equipment.
Oh yeah.
In this particular case, or anything that might be essential oils, right? Like don't they have oil vaporizers for your house, that sort of thing?
Maybe your grandmother's Vicks inhaler.
What about those machines that put water into the air? Mm-hmm. That would be a vaporizer, right? Yeah, humidifiers.
I'm sure you'll be able to get it with a prescription. Just pay the doctor a couple $100.
More coming up. Free Talk Live.
Pork chop, his coat is very thick. He's an Akita, German Shepherd, Lab, Husky mix. Harold, the Border Collie Pit mix, has the most beautiful jet black coat. Stuart, my rat terrier, has fur now where he never had it before.
DINOVITE.com.
Dinovite will give them a beautiful, lustrous coat. It will make you smile.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, you can bring up what you want. Here, our number, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Free Talk Live brought to you by Divvy. Divvy is a cryptocurrency that makes it super easy to run a masternode. You can learn about how you go about doing that. It's like just a matter of a few clicks. Once you get the Divvy full node installed on your system, go to DivvyProject.org and you can learn more about that. That's DIVIProject.org. Joining you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian. Oops, sorry, nobody. I'm really bad with this tonight. Try that
Nobody's
again.
Microphone.
I didn't know how angry you were at us. And Chris.
I wouldn't say I'm angry. I was just surprised. I'm surprised to hear, libertarians who normally, they hold private property in high esteem just kind of blowing it off. As though it didn't really mean that much because somebody might have wanted to blow some AT&T building up.
In peacetime, nothing so becomes a man as modesty and humility. But when the winds of war blow on in thy ear, then imitate the action of the tiger.
Okay. 603-283-6160. Sounds like a lot of justification for destroying private property to me, but we go on here with...
I haven't justified anything.
That depends.
No, he was.
Though. All I've said is, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I'm not going to know until I know.
Mm-hmm. And you have no feelings until you know?
I have plenty of feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be reserved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly. So we were talking about the restrictions on vaporizers. According to the Reason.com piece here, we've got the new bill that they're trying to pass with the spending and COVID-19 bailouts, which will also include all manner of new restrictions on things like selling e-cigarettes online. They're redefining the term cigarette to include electronic nicotine delivery systems. And that also includes products that do not deliver nicotine. including
how familiar words developed new meanings,
including any electronic device that through an aerosolized solution delivers nicotine, flavor, or any other substance to the user inhaling from the device.
Oh, so a nicotine delivery distribution system is anything that distributes anything.
I mean, so I have a question then. If I inhale like canned air, right? That would be an aerosol, correct? Then,
yeah, I mean, and you can go to an oxygen bar in Japan and pay good money.
Is that
they have those in the U.S.?
Is that going to be
that
taxed?
would probably.
I mean, or is it only if it was?
That should be taxed if they're going to be consistent.
Is it only going to be if it's for a particular intended purpose, or and then
no,
what happens?
It doesn't have to have anything to do with nicotine. They just have to be able to lie and call it a nicotine delivery system. And they can lie about anything.
Wait, did it say it had to have nicotine in it?
No.
Or? No, it doesn't. So it's just
any electronic device. So it's saying electronic.
Oh, come on. Why would a nicotine delivery system be required
what's
to
the
deliver
definition
nicotine?
of device?
That's silly.
What's the definition of device in this context?
Well, it says electronic, so it wouldn't include a compressed air.
Well, depending on what they consider to be an electronic device, depending on how that, if they redefine words, I mean, it may or may not be.
Well, most canned air I've seen is just a pressurized canister.
Probably right.
Release on it, but anything that includes so it included e-cigarettes, e-hookahs, e-cigars, electronic pipes, vape pens, refillable vaporizers, plus quote any component, liquid part, or accessory used with those devices, whether shipped together with them or sold separately. So in other words, every product related to vaping, whether nicotine, THC, CBD, lavender, or anything else, will now be subject to the Jenkins Act's burdensome requirements.
If it's got dual purposes, then
they don't care. They still want to steal your money.
They want to tax. So there's probably lots of products that have dual purposes.
It's like asking if the burglar really needed your TV for the reason he said he needed it. Probably not. He's a burglar. He's a thief.
Yeah.
He steals because he can steal.
So it sounds like they're also going to be defining the e-liquid itself as a cigarette, according to the bill, including So they're going to tax not only the device, but also the liquid that goes into the device.
Not if you buy it over the dark web, they're not.
I mean, okay, and what if you so there's like if you sell the components separately, right? Like there's components that go into it, and they have multiple use cases, from what I understand. If they're separate components that they sold liquid-wise, and you have to put them together yourself, is that taxed? Or is it not taxed?
It sounds like they're just going to tax every piece, and
because if they're taxing everything, they're going to have an effect on other industries that have nothing to do with smoking.
Well, yeah, they can get more money that way.
Feinstein's bill also requires the U.S. Postal Service to clarify that the ban on mailing cigarettes covers all those products which are not actually cigarettes and may not even have anything to do with nicotine. The new ban, disingenuously presented as a clarification of the existing ban, will take effect within 120 days of the bill's passage. These reality-defying redefinitions ostensibly are aimed at preventing the sale of e-cigarettes to anyone under than 21 or younger than the age of 21.
And it has nothing to do with that.
Right. I don't see
garbage.
how that does anything here.
No, it has no effect because you can order something from overseas.
The minimum age set by federal law, quote, buying e-cigarettes online is one of the easiest ways for children and teens to get their hands on these harmful products, she said when she introduced the bill. But
way easier than buying them from the guy next door.
Yeah, and it's not like you couldn't get this stuff in the 90s before the internet anyway. I mean, you
couldn't get the vapes. You had to do cigarettes.
Vapes didn't exist
I know,
in the 90s.
But the point that I'm making is, I remember being able to get cigarettes before the internet. It's like it's not like kids can't get these things regardless of whether you ban it online sales or don't. I mean,
they don't mean to stop the kids
local
from
sales for that matter.
No, all they want to do is steal your money. That's all they care about. Everything else is a lie.
Yeah, they just keep talking about children as though this has some sort of an effect on children, and it doesn't. Feinstein.
Well, it makes them poorer. If their parents are
it makes
paying
us all
more
poorer.
Sure.
Yeah.
The new bill burdens and restrictions go far beyond what's necessary to enforce the minimum purchase age, requiring
nothing is necessary to enforce that.
Yeah, I'm surprised Reason put that in there.
If they wanted to enforce an age, all they have to do is require you, when you mail something, to check the box that says over 21 on it.
Signature required.
For a signature required over 21, and that would have solved the problem. There's no taxation required.
Yeah. Requiring robust age verification for orders or an adult signature for deliveries, for example, would prevent sales to consumers younger than 21 without the expensive disruptions this law will cause. So,
exactly.
Apparently, you wrote this article.
I didn't. I never read it even.
Somebody who was channeling you.
Yeah.
So if you want to join us here, 283 or 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Quote, this is from Gregory Connolly, the president of the American Vaping Association. He says, while there's no shortage of talk in Congress about the importance of small business and social distancing, the decision is to shove this ban in the middle of a pandemic relief package reveals how hollow that rhetoric is, he said.
And how hollow the need for pandemic relief is.
He said further, many Americans at risk of COVID-19 complications have been staying home and ordering their supplies online, but Congress just decided that they should either pay much more for shipping or go to a retail store that may not stock the product that they use to stay off of deadly cigarettes.
And it better be one of the big stores run by their rich friends that they're making richer, not the little stores run by the little people who they're driving out of business.
Right, because those are non-essential.
Of course.
Little shops are non-essential.
If you're not donating money to my campaign, then your business is non-essential.
Yep.
Not essential to me.
That's what it's come down to, and they are running the little guys out of business. That seems to be the goal of this entire situation, is to put more money in the hands of the mega corporations and take it out of the hands of the little business.
Yeah,
and that means a lot of people are going to die.
What
not
do you say
a free
about the
market.
Yeah,
we don't have a free market. It's a so-called free market.
Yeah, it's not even close. There's more about this, though. What's going on with the federal vaping restrictions, taxation, bans? It's on the way. It's Free Talk Live.
Maxwell, he was a runaway to rescue great disposition. About 9 years ago, he was scratching a lot, and he started losing some hair. My vet, she says, oh, he must be allergic to the chicken. Another vet said, it's the grain. Third vet, she said it's the weather, something in the air. And then somebody said,
DINOVITE.com.
I had been listening to these Dynavite ads, hearing about different stories of different people, and it just clicked. I got my first 90-day supply, and it took a grand total of 2 weeks. And the dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Dynavite is nutrition.
And Maxwell loved it. Now he's close to 10, and the Dynavite's a big part of Maxwell's diet.
Dynavite for life.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
And he's a spectacular dog.
DINOVITE.com.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. The number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio with you tonight, you've got Ian.
Nobody.
And Chris.
Don't forget, you can join us online. Just go to freetalklive.com where you can enjoy the features on the site. Head over there and enjoy those on us. They are free, so please go to freetalklive.com. Again, 603-283-6160. Whether you want to comment on the new proposed, well, it's one of the thousands of pages, over 5,000 pages in this coronavirus bailout bill, part deux, where apparently Trump may be trying to veto this thing, but they'll likely override it, in which case new regulations will go in place that'll make it more difficult than ever to sell e-cigarettes online, because now they're going to be categorizing e-cigarettes as regular cigarettes, including all the e-juice and all the accessories that you would need to go with your e-cigarettes, and basically make it very, very difficult for these mom-and-pop operations that might be selling you one of those things over the internet to even exist.
And also, they'll be continuing their tradition of classifying all humans as children, whether they're children or not.
Yeah, well, that's what the government definitely treats people like. And, some people appear to actually want to be treated as though they're children. But for the rest of us who don't, we're all stuck with this crappy system. So if you want to comment, join us here at 603-283-6160. Let's go to David. He's in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, on the bombing. But first of all, a comment on your vaping. I think it might be helpful to take the definition of aerosol and the definition of vapor and compare it to the definition of a gas. For instance, a can of canned air, notwithstanding whatever added propellants might be in there, but let's just assuming it's just plain compressed air, which it's probably not. But if it is, then that's just a gas. There's no vapor and no aerosol, to my understanding of the definition of aerosol involved. And I don't know how that compares to the law as it's written, but it's just something I picked up on
what you just said.
What?
I did not comprehend that. Was that just me?
He's talking.
No,
about,
I didn't understand it either.
He's talking about aerosolizing things.
Yeah, there's the word aerosol has a certain definition, and he's just saying that it doesn't apply to.
Well, canned air normally does have a propellant in it, though.
Right. All
turn it upside down and it shoots it out.
That's true. I'm not entirely sure either, but
if you compress air and you ignore the fact that there's contaminants in air, air is just nitrogen and oxygen, carbon dioxide. Those are all gases. There's no vapor involved until you introduce water vapor. But if you just talk about the nitrogen, carbon dioxide, oxygen, the basics of what you need to breathe, and eliminate the moisture and such, then there's no aerosol and no vapor involved. It's just gases that are compressed. But anyway, I was calling about the bombing, and first of all, we don't know, like you were alluding to, we don't know what their intent was. We don't know what their motive was. We don't know what their goals are. So you have to just sit back and wait. It appears obviously it's an illegal act until we get what the declared intent and motive, which is how they got the horse ahead of the cart a little bit. The other night, I believe it was last night, you had somebody in your state delivering a declaration, and that's what's missing. If you need to give a declaration before you blow something up, and you also need to exhaust other remedies, and a bomb is typically could be classified as last resort, remedy of last resort, and so we don't know what their motive is. We don't know what their intent is.
No, it would be interesting to if they have actually some sort of video that they're publishing or published somewhere or whatever to try to at least explain what exactly they were attempting to do. There is another story here that says there were apparently some issues with AT&T's wireless and internet service. Widespread 911 issues were also reported on Friday, that's today, for hours following a massive explosion in downtown Nashville. AT&T internet and phone service were disrupted at about noon on Friday, but didn't this explosion happen at like 4 or 5 in the morning? So why would it,
maybe there was redundancy. The redundancy solved the problem temporarily, but they had to redirect in order to retain the redundancy because if the other building collapsed, then they would have no service at all.
You might have enough redundancy at 4 o'clock in the morning when nobody's using the system, but at noon when everybody's using the system, you might not have enough capacity to do
partial
what
redundancy. Then it's not full redundancy.
Right, but my point is that you need to, if you're going to do something like this, once again, you need to exhaust other remedies first. Maybe they have, but we don't know that because they gave us no declaration like your friend did yesterday.
I wouldn't assume that.
Maybe they did give us a declaration. Certainly, the government would do everything it could to suppress such a declaration if it existed.
And here's the problem. Whenever you read stories about particularly bad people who did bad things, they never tell you what those intentions or what the motivations were or
Sometimes
why the person did. Almost never. Almost never.
Sometimes they
I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's very rare.
They do it only if it suits their narrative.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How about Martin Luther?
Martin Luther
Which
King?
one? The one who nailed the proclamations to church doors?
Yeah.
The
95 theses nailed to the door as a declaration.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I deplore the damage to the door, but
he wasn't tearing down
because he was just promoting one sort of madness over another.
He wasn't damaging the door. He was kicking down the Catholic Church.
Yeah, well, and certainly there's always fun to be had in that.
Wasn't he building up his own church though?
Well, that was just a result, and his intent was just to call the Catholic Church on the carpet for things that he believed were not godly, not biblical. Calling them out on their BS is what he was doing. He wasn't the result. The unintended result was that a new church came out of it. It wasn't his intent to do that. He wanted to remain in the church that he'd always been in, but he couldn't tolerate it the way it was.
Thank you, David, for the call tonight. Appreciate it. The number here is 603-283-6160. AT&T did confirm. So here you go, Chris.
Okay.
AT&T spokesperson confirmed the outage was linked to the explosion. They say that service for some customers in Nashville and the surrounding areas may be affected by damage to our facilities from the explosion this morning. We are in contact with law enforcement and working as quickly and safely as possible, blah, blah, blah. So there you go.
Now, what would be interesting would have been if there had been a nationwide outage of 911 service, then that would tell me that office was a place where they were intercepting that stuff for whatever nefarious reason, but that's not.
Yeah,
that doesn't appear. Well, I don't know if it happened because, of course, they wouldn't tell us the truth if it did.
It usually takes somebody who is not all there in order to initiate these sorts of actions. So, there's a sad component to these sorts of situations oftentimes, and it's
like the fact that people had their homes destroyed by this, just to interrupt somebody's phone calls.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but that is sad though.
It's sad, yes, but
you can see that's a sad thing.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be going to war against the government, I don't blame you for being frustrated. I don't support violence. I don't think it's a solution. But, man,
no, it's not.
Target the right places.
I agree.
Go after the police. Go after, the government bureaucrats specifically.
There is certainly, it's easy to say, right? Like, and there's targets that I certainly would have picked over that. Like, you could cut wires for fiber optic cables running across the country
without destroying somebody's house.
Right, exactly.
Maybe the problem was that the government was trying to assassinate him, and that was the easiest way for him to assassinate the assassin. We don't know.
You don't assassinate the assassins if you blow up a truck in a street with the intention.
You might if you happen to blow one up in the process.
Certainly that got more media attention than a cut wire would.
But it had a notice warning people. More coming.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
Yeah, it's Free Talk Live, and of course, the phones are open as always here. Christmas Day, we'll take your calls, your thoughts. Our number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Thank you to Roscoe S., who is a Free Talk Live Silver Amplifier. Roscoe contributing $5 a month to the AMP program. You can do that too if you appreciate the work that we do here. Hosts on the show don't always agree, but at least we can have interesting discussions, and you get to decide what you think about what's being said here. Definitely prefer it, though, when you weigh in and join the show. But again, thanks to Roscoe S. over at amp.freetalklive.com. That's where you can get signed up for that. That's ampamp.freetalklive.com. One thing's for sure, you're not going to hear this conversation that we had tonight anywhere else.
Oh, no.
That is not happening. True. So feel free to join the AMP program if you appreciate the work we do. amp.freetalklive.com. Let's go to the phones here, and then we're going to go into a bit of a different story about the Salvation Army now taking cryptocurrency.
About time.
Yeah, let's
Although,
go.
I'm not sure I'd want to donate to them, but
apparently God didn't see crypto coming.
Yeah. We're going to your calls and thoughts here. Joe in Maryland, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing,
Hey,
Ian? Nobody and Chris. I just called to say Merry Christmas and
thanks.
Love to listen to the show, and I'm really appreciative that you guys are working on Christmas on the air tonight.
Well,
thanks a lot, bro. Have a cool Yule.
Well, it is radio, so it's not like real work.
That's funny. You guys
speak
are still
for
on.
yourself.
I'm really
Radio's real
appreciative.
work. It's coding to this.
Yeah.
Joe, was there anything else you wanted to comment on tonight, or were you just, calling to say Merry Christmas?
Not calling to say Merry Christmas, lighten up a bit, and I'm really appreciative. I enjoy the show, and I'm appreciative of you guys working 7 days a week.
Thanks, man. We're happy to be here for you.
Okay,
and,
God
appreciate
bless
hearing from
you.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Peace, spot, and peanut butter.
So, yeah, Salvation Army, if you haven't started taking cryptocurrency at your business yet, you just got left behind in the dust by an old charity. Like the Salvation Army's been around for a long time.
It's the song of the Salvation Army.
Honestly, usually
away with rum by gum.
Wow.
If I'm
I've
going to
never
make
heard
a
that before.
donation, it's more likely going to happen if you guys accept cryptocurrency. I'm not going to spend time entering my credit card information for, and maybe I will in a rare case, but honestly, most of the places I'm willing to donate actually already take crypto.
I mean, there's no doubt Salvation Army is a religious organization. So, I mean, if you're totally a religious, anti-religious person, you probably don't want to donate to them. That said...
But then you probably don't want to listen to a radio show run by a church.
Well, maybe so. I mean, we certainly don't advertise that publicly in all instances.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's not a secret. I mean, this is a show run by a church, but it's an interfaith church. It's not your typical... it's not your typical church.
It may give you the
typical church.
It may give you the wrong impressions too, just the way it's described.
Right. To just say it's a church, you might.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump to conclusions about us over that.
Well, I mean, to me, as far as I'm concerned, if you say church and people just assume it's a Christian church, then I would say that would be jumping to conclusions.
Now, if I'm not mistaken,
many faiths.
The church accepts atheists, correct?
Oh, yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, anybody can be a member of the church. There's no centralized control over who's a member in the church. What there is with the Shire Free Church is each individual who would describe themselves as a minister gets to determine who they recognize as a co-minister in that particular case, because there's no set of elders who decides, you can be or you can't be a minister. Each one makes those decisions for themselves. But the Salvation Army is a Christian church, and to their credit, they do some good work. I mean, they do actually help people that are in need of like some assistance if they're homeless, for instance. So they do a lot of good work for people, even though they obviously have their Christian viewpoint.
Shouldn't they just build a golden throne that they can sit on while they preach to people about how they should be good to the poor? Seems to be working for the Catholic.
You know what's interesting actually about the particular organization is that they actually have a lot of resources to do the things that they do, and there's so many other organizations out there, and that's it's actually interesting because I'm not against what they do, but what I've come to recognize, and I've recognized this for actually 9/11 was probably the first time. But most of the organizations, like, that's who you think of when you think of charity.
You mean Salvation Army?
Yeah. And usually what happens is in times of
that's because they're present. They're present in people's lives,
absolutely.
Right? So like they've got the bell ringers outside of the stores.
Sure.
I presume. I don't know if they're doing that this year.
The problem is that in times of chaos, effectively, people tend to donate to them, and it ends up having a negative impact on other very worthwhile charities.
Well, as Gene the Christian Anarchist points out in our chat room, he says, put something like 95% of their donations into the hands of the needy. So they
actually have a very good reputation for efficiency.
I wasn't trying to criticize them or anything. Yeah. I was actually just trying to point out that there's actually a lot of other charities that effectively get undermined in the time of, at certain points, because they're just this particular charity is so well known. And then actually the things that people actually criticize them for have been, like, for example, during 9/11, people thought they were donating to 9/11 and they were donating to them, and the money wasn't going there. Most of it.
When you say they were donating to 9/11, you mean like the victims?
No, they were donating to this charity, but they thought the money was going to 9/11 when it wasn't.
When you say going to 9/11, you mean the victims?
Yeah. So people got upset. with them,
I thought they were chipping in to pay for 9/11 to bring the building.
No, it's a charity. I mean, okay, I guess there's charities that do chip in.
Yeah, I guess that was more of a tax
for what you would call terrorism, I guess, but. I don't know.
The Salvation Army, by the way, is more than a century old. It was founded in 1865, so it's coming up on, it's a century and a half, basically, at this point. They are an international charity known for their network of thrift stores. Funds collected go towards its emergency relief efforts and ongoing programs such as shelters and hospitals. CoinDesk.com is reporting that as of Thursday, they've partnered with a cryptocurrency giving platform called Engiven, Engiven. When making a donation, if a zip code is provided, the crypto will then go toward financing the donor's local Salvation Army program. So you can actually target your donation. You don't have to just give to the nationwide group. You can say, I live here, and then they'll get the benefits from it. They say that they expect their busy period ahead and plan to serve up to 155% more people this year with their holiday assistance, making fundraising activities important. Lieutenant Colonel Kyle Smith, Salvation Army Western Secretary of Communications, says, quote, "There's no gold at the end of the rainbow, but with the rise in popularity and value of Bitcoin, it certainly could feel like it to some crypto investors." He added, saying further, "I believe the crypto community cares and could make a big difference in the Salvation Army's efforts to help those struggling in communities across our country." I just think it's interesting that, there's so many businesses out there that they're not sure about crypto. They don't know if they want to take crypto. And here's this 150-year-old charity that is, when you think about old companies, right? Old corporations, these things don't change quickly. They don't turn on a dime. It's hard to get an institutional organization that's been around forever to do anything differently. Because, the old saying is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right?
What's kind of funny, actually, is that it takes these, these huge entities, right, so long to get on board with cryptocurrency, where we see small entities hopping on board, fairly quickly. Even in town, 100 Nights, it's a
homeless shelter.
Mm-hmm. They even take crypto. Now, there was some help, getting on board, but
I helped them with that.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of other small businesses and things like that taking cryptocurrency, and yet all the big ones are like slow as molasses to get on board.
It's part of the life cycle of businesses. I mean, businesses in a natural economy would not be immortal. They would start out young, they would get old, and then they would die. In most cases, and they would be replaced by newer, more agile businesses, because every institution, as it grows, as it ages, will become resistant to change and will become hidebound. The people who are operating it will get old and they'll be reluctant to give up power, and corruption will become entrenched. The nice thing about the market is that old businesses can just die off. They don't last forever. And then all of that rot is returned to the economy.
To productive use.
Whereas with the government just goes on forever.
Yeah.
Until,
and gets worse.
People eventually start blowing stuff up because there's nothing else to do.
Out of time tonight. I just want to say kudos to the Salvation Army. I mean, that's great news that they are such an old organization, and they see that this is a place they need to go to continue donations coming in and empower their organization. And I hope that it sounds like they see the value in it. So I'm guessing they're going to hold on to some of this Bitcoin that they get instead of cashing it out.
I hope they do.
We'll see you tomorrow night online. In the meantime, you can join us over at freetalklive.com. Check Chris out at freedomdecrypted.com. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Some of you